Hello everyone, welcome back. Thanks for being here for Deuteronomy chapter 17 today. Okay, you shall not sacrifice to the Lord your God an ox or a sheep which has a blemish or any defect, for that is a detestable thing to the Lord your God. God expected nothing less than the best, as his own son eventually became a perfect sacrifice for us as well. Okay, verse 2. If there is found in your midst, in any of your towns, which the Lord your God is giving you, a man or a woman who does what is evil in the sight of the Lord your God, by transgressing his covenant, and has gone and served other gods and worshipped them, or the sun, or the moon, or any of the heavenly host, which I have not commanded, and if it is told you, and you have heard of it, then you shall inquire thoroughly. Behold, if it is true, and the thing certain that is detestable thing has been done in Israel, then you shall bring out that man or that woman who has done this evil deed to your gates, that is, the man or the woman, and you shall stone them to death. On the evidence of 2 witnesses or 3 witnesses, he who is to die shall be put to death. He shall not be put to death on the evidence of 1 witness. The hand of the witnesses shall be first against him to put him to death, and afterward the hand of all the people. So you shall purge the evil from your midst. And that's a really important line right there with why this all went down back in the day. God did, again, we've talked about this, but God did not want evil in their midst. The local judges were to see that false worshipers were executed, so that idolatry would be dealt with severely. Verse 8, if any case is too difficult for you to decide between one kind of homicide or another, between one kind of lawsuit or another, and between one kind of assault or another, being cases of dispute in your courts, then you shall arise and go up to the place which the Lord your God chooses. So you shall come to the Levitical priest or the judge who is in the office in those days, and you shall inquire of them, and they will declare to you the verdict in the case. You shall do according to the terms of the verdict which they declare to you from that place which the Lord chooses. And you shall be careful to observe according to all that they teach you. According to the terms of the law which they teach you, and according to the verdict which they tell you, you shall do. You shall not turn aside from the word which they declare to you, to the right or to the left. The man who acts presumptuously, meaning proud or arrogant, by not listening to the priest who stands there to serve the Lord your God, nor to the judge, that man shall die. Thus you shall purge the evil from Israel. And I got a confession. When people act presumptuously, it's probably one of the most irritating things to me, so I can relate with God here. I'm sure we've all seen videos on like Facebook where the defendant in a courtroom will be super rude to the judge. I mean, I get it. Okay, verse 13. Then all the people will hear and be afraid, and will not act presumptuously again. When you enter the land which the Lord your God gives you, and you possess it and live in it, and you say, I will set a king over me like all the nations who are around me, you shall surely set a king over you whom the Lord your God chooses. One from among your countrymen you shall set as king over yourselves. You may not put a foreigner over yourselves who is not your countryman. Kind of like our presidents. Verse 16. Moreover, he shall not multiply horses for himself, nor shall he cause the people to return to Egypt and multiply horses, since the Lord has said to you, you shall never again return that way. He shall not multiply wives for himself, or else his heart will turn away, nor shall he greatly increase silver and gold for himself. So the king was not to rely on military strength, political alliances, or wealth for his position and authority, but he was to look to the Lord. Verse 18. Now it shall come about, when he sits on the throne of his kingdom, he shall write for himself a copy of this law on a scroll in the presence of the Levitical priests. Verse 19. It shall be with him, and he shall read it all the days of his life, that he may learn to fear the Lord his God by carefully observing all the words of this law and these statutes, that his heart may not be lifted up above his countrymen, and that he may not turn aside from the commandment to the right or the left, so that he and his sons may continue long in his kingdom in the midst of Israel. And I like the phrase in verse 20, a leader's heart should not be lifted up above his countrymen. The way I see it is that a good leader relates to and understands the needs of his people without placing himself in a position of arrogance over them, but remains humble and compassionate for their well-being. All right, guys. I'm compassionate for your well-being, so thank you for being here and hope to see you tomorrow. Have a good day. Take care.